Hello, all, and welcome to the first episode of Triangle Z. I'm your host, Marshmallow Chomper, and today I've got my co host, Griggle.
Hello.
And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the brand new news for the new game, Inazuma 11 Victory Road.
Woo, yeah.
So, you've heard about this, right? And I'm heard about this, but for
Uh-huh.
anyone who hasn't heard about this, do you want to sort of briefly describe the game? You don't have to go into much
All
detail.
right. Well, it's a fresh new take on Inazuma. It's definitely it reminds me of Strikers, I think, the most out of any
Yeah,
Inazuma game. I'm really intrigued to see what they do with taking away touchscreen because obviously it's on mobile and Switch, is it not?
yeah. We're not quite sure with mobile. They said it was for the Ares game, and then they're still saying sort of, but it's definitely on Switch, so it's going
Because
to be quite
obviously
interesting.
people who play it on Switch, they'll have the ability to use touchscreen, but things like PlayStation and it's not on Xbox, is it?
I'm not sure actually. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
it's definitely going to be quite weird comparing all the different ways to play.
Yeah, I think with all the new mechanics that have been added, it's definitely fresh, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure how easily we're going to be able to adapt to it.
Well, I know you know, but for anyone listening in, I have actually been trying out other football games,
Oh yeah,
more
yeah.
because I don't have access to Strikers, right? That game's crazy expensive. So,
Oh yeah.
um, we got the glorious FIFA 11 for the DS. I've been trying games like that and Captain Tsubasa for the Switch to try and get a feel for other football games because it's I'm not sure how different it's going to be, but it's definitely different. So I'm trying to get all bases covered before the new
Yeah.
game comes out.
Well, how have you been finding it trying these games?
Oh, well, I mean, they're quite fun, but honestly, especially with things like online FIFA, you just get steamrolled. Like,
Oh yeah.
I'd say the one thing, though, I'm really hoping is first of all, it's not anywhere near as pay to win as FIFA. That would be dreadful.
I'm praying that there is no in-game purchases, and if there is, they keep it on the down low.
Yeah, just like cosmetics and things.
Because I know there's obviously there's the curse of the battle pass, which every game seems to have now, no matter what blooming game it is.
Yeah, I mean, especially with this new news, a lot of people have been very confused. Because they mentioned seasons and things, and in their
Yeah,
last news, the one before this, they mentioned seasons. We're not sure if that's just referring to the seasonal thing, which is something new that we'll discuss in a bit, um, or if there's battle pass seasons, or if it's both. So I'm hoping it's just like the seasonal players sort of thing that they're going with, but
yeah, as
we
am
we
I.
don't know. We don't know.
There's also the talk of is it Plan B? I think it's called Plan V, even Plan V,
Yes.
which is I believe that's the one where the characters age and whatnot. So that's going to be very
Yes.
interesting to see. I'm really
So,
looking forward to that one.
shall we sort of open up this topic then with the FFI
Yes,
multiplayer? So,
Frontier International.
I am very, very excited for this because I mean, we play the DS games. We're
Oh
lucky enough
yeah,
that we live near enough so that we can play it together. But I know many people either don't or just don't know anyone who cares
yeah,
for the franchise. So being
and
able to play it multiplayer is gonna be the first time for people who've been into the franchise for so long.
I know. And I mean, like, how long has like multiplayer for 2 and 3 been gone? It's just you can't play it anymore. You physically cannot
Exactly.
because of the DS is shutting down.
Now, something that excites me. I mean, I'm not going to be able to do it. I don't think I'm going to have the time for it. But in the past, tournament winners have been added into the
Oh
game.
yes,
So do we think with the FFI tournaments, if you win, maybe like only every now and then or a special one, there'll be the opportunity to get put into the game?
I think so. I would love to be added as Ben Pants, just like
Yeah, that honestly, I mean, they'll probably really finesse you with a terrible pun about your name, but it'd be so cool getting added.
They level 5 really like just destroying people's lineages and reputation by giving them terrible names,
Yeah. So,
such as Pants.
is there anything that you really want to see with online? Any sort of limitations or formats of play?
I think the thing I want to see the most is, especially with the amount of different mechanics we have in Inazuma, such as spirits and mixy maxing, etc. I want to see different modes because if it's
Hmm.
just one online mode where there's no ranked, there's no friendlies, and it's just everything's on the table, it is going to be such an overload to my system.
Not to mention that they said they're bringing back all of the random scouts from like the first,
Oh
well,
God.
from every game. And when you get into Inazuma 2, that has like almost 2,000 random scout characters in it,
Yeah,
and not one of them's going to have a battle spirit, if battle
yeah,
spirits are anywhere near the strength that they were in the Go games, that's like 2,000 characters that are just useless.
I
And
know,
that's
and
not going to be good.
I'm praying that there's a mode where it will enable things like fighting spirits,
Hmm.
so that people who want to use them can go into that game mode, and people who don't even want to have to view fighting spirits never have to look at them
I
ever
mean,
again.
one way they could get around balancing it, if there isn't this sort of thing, would be to make it so it's just like in the move set, and you don't activate the battle spirit and become super
Oh
strong.
yeah,
But instead, you just use the move that the battle spirit would have, and it's just like a mega move
yeah,
essentially.
like an animation.
Yeah, yeah. Or
Okay,
we could have it. This is another thing I was thinking of. You know, with the new tension, which we'll get into a bit more
yeah,
detail,
tension gauge.
have the battle spirit drain the entire team. So
Ooh,
it's like it's a very risk versus reward sort of situation. I
yeah.
think that'd be, I mean, it depends how strong they are, but I think that would be a fair way to sort of balance it a bit.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to. You mentioned the tension gorge. I'm really looking
Mm,
forward to seeing that because obviously they're
yes.
getting rid of the beloved TP in place with
Yeah.
it.
I I really like the concept, but it could be messed up so
It,
easily.
it yeah, they could go very wrong with it if they're not on top of it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Circling back just a quick second to when I asked you about different formats and things, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
one quick little thing to add that would be really, really neat would be a format where instead of going in with your own team, you select or get randomly given a selecting an existing team and
yeah.
play with them. So like say you go in and you just play with all of a cult and you just have
That would
those
be
members
cool.
and you can't change that. I think that'd be quite interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And it also stops people from going absolutely ham with some teams.
Yeah, it's not just gonna be Nakata on every single team.
So I think as well something I'm really interested for about this is just the gameplay itself, obviously,
Hmm.
because in previous games and things, if you come into an encounter with an enemy combatant, I guess you normally get just a choice of what moves to do. But in this, they've said that you there's a mechanic where you analyze the situation. I think
Yeah,
um, it's stuff like player skill and luck that goes into it. But I'm
yeah.
intrigued to see what that's about.
Something else that I noticed in we've had a trailer for this game, right? It was the news before this, and
Yeah,
something I
yeah,
noticed, which I think it's more of an interpretation because it's not 100% confirmed, but it's pretty damn close. Uh,
yeah.
it looks like even when you're taking a shot, just a normal shot, you can like try and before we just had shoot and chip shot, right? But it looks like you can
Yes,
almost ch choose the angle, and if you're gonna curve it, it looks a lot more in depth for just small
I
interactions.
think your interpretation is correct. So
Yes,
rather than just choosing between a shoot or a chip shot, I think you do get to go a bit more into detail with the shots and things.
it'd be really interesting to see this get put into like dribbling and tackling as well.
Yeah,
Because again, like in the older games, we just had two options each. So seeing things like maybe instead of just tackle and slide tackle, you can like pressure them to give up the ball or
yeah.
just get two people on one person.
Mm. I've read as well that there's going to be a mechanic where, you know, when like a player reacts to an incoming ball, so you
Yes.
can react because normally it used to just be random whether your character would headbutt it off the blooming off the side of the map or keep it by their feet. But I
Yeah,
think now you can choose whether to do a header to another player or keep it at your feet. And I
that
think
would be quite interesting.
you have to line up the cursor or something and press the button at the right time to get the move off. So
Hopefully
I
that's not
guess
too difficult.
it sounds like a quick time event to me
Yeah,
with
it'd be
the
interesting
pressing the
to
button
see
at the
that
right time.
online.
Yeah, because I assume that I don't know. I assume they'd slow down time if the ball's coming at you, but they might not.
Hmm.
It's
Um,
interesting.
I was there's something with that as well, with like the whole interactions and that. Are we still gonna get the oops? You know when you pass a ball to your
Oh my
teammate
god.
and they just go oops and just pass
I
it to the opposition? Is
I
this
hate
staying
that.
in? I mean, as much as I hate it, it's also incredibly funny
It is
watching it
funny,
happen
and
to your opponent.
I guess it is realistic because it does happen to people in games. But Jesus Christ,
Yeah, and
it's
also,
upsetting.
sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying that it's painful when it happens.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, is there anything that sort of determines that? So is there gonna be a stat that determines how likely that they are to oops and just pass to the opposition? That would be
It would
quite interesting.
it'd be interesting to see, say, if you had a character that was like way over leveled compared to like, say, if you had a really high level midfielder and a level one striker. If you tried to pass to the striker, you'd be like, oh, and then pull an oops.
Yeah. Um, so we talked a little bit about having a meta and how having a just an entire team would stop everyone just fielding Nakata as a forward or
Yeah,
something. So one way that they are, I'm assuming this is to avoid a meta. One way they avoiding a meta is with the seasonal player sort of
yes,
thing.
the seasons.
Now, I am very excited for this. So for
As am
anyone
I.
listening, what it is basically after every season, that's one in-universe year, essentially. And once they've gone through 3 years of school, they're no longer at the school and are too old to compete.
That's if they're first years as well.
Yes,
That's not even
yes,
accounting if they're third years. I think seasons. I think it progresses every 2 to 3 months. So I guess it's like
yeah,
a fortnight season or something. So
yeah,
every few months, I think teams they're made up of. So you get five like eternal players, which are characters that will always be in the season. But then the other six are comprised of the seasonal players. So
yes,
it means
yes.
that obviously every season you'll have to build up your team again. So you can't just stick with one god team and use it for the rest of your life. I mean, obviously, with
Also, oh,
sorry, go
sorry.
on.
I was gonna say also, I think once your player has done 3 seasons, you can keep them, but they become one of the five, like
Oh,
forever players, one of
yeah,
the
an
eternal
eternal player.
players. Yeah.
Okay, that is quite cool actually.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm reading something about it now.
yeah. So
Like it's
by
just
having the players leave school and then become an eternal player, not only do you have to really figure out who you want as your six seasonal players, it makes the space tighter the more you play for your eternal
I
players, which is
know.
quite cool.
It's just I don't know. The idea seems really cool to me.
Yeah. And
I
if
wonder though if their character sprites and things will change if they get older, or they'll just stay the same.
ooh, that is quite a
Because
concept
obviously,
that.
every season, I imagine they'll add a few hundred for seasonal, so there's quite a bit of choice. But
Hmm.
that's like one character they'd need like three or four sprites for, and that could get
Yeah.
quite costly.
Although they did say because there's no way they're making every single scout
Oh
character from the old
yes,
games, they're doing it with some sort of AI building. So maybe it isn't actually that much of a taxing thing. So it might be something that they can do fairly easily,
I re-
and that would be pretty cool.
I'm really hoping that this AI just managed to make this like one really stupid looking character that they just miss out and forget to fix.
I hope it happens to Ace server, bro. I hope they mess him up bad. He
I
has
hope
like
they
one
don't.
eye bigger than the other.
He's already been messed up more. He was amazing in Inazuma 2, and then he just got absolutely railed into the ground in the
Yeah, like he
following
he
games.
was he had the joint highest guard stat in 2. Then for 3 he was not even like relevant in online. And then in Chrono Stones,
He's
you
on the
just
same.
it's just one of
He's on
them you
that
don't even
goalkeeper team.
touch.
That's all he's in.
Yes, yeah.
With what's her face, the scary lady.
Oh, Isla Pullins.
Yeah, Bullens.
I hate that she's like a
Oh
meta
God,
keeper because of
it
Charm Up.
is horrible.
Oh, that's a point actually. Do we think skills are going to return like Charm Up, Cool Up,
Oh
Offense
yeah,
Force? Because I know you've not played the Go games, so
yeah,
in at least in Chrono Sense, I can't remember if they're in the first one. There's way more skills. It's like 60 skills or something
yeah,
crazy, but they have very small effects. Like I don't know, that their shots are more accurate or something, as opposed to boost the whole team by 5%. So do we
yeah.
think we're still gonna have those, or do we think it's just gonna be moves?
Well, that's a good question actually, because obviously, with the amount of mechanics they're talking about adding, skills could take a back seat
Yeah.
and not be as relevant. But I do think they have their own little charm to them that it would be a shame if we missed out on
Also, I love characters like Bunner and Aurelia Dingle that just learn
them.
all skills and no moves.
Yeah,
They're always really enjoyable.
joke characters like that do make quite a. They make a unique team, to say the
Yeah,
least.
yeah.
So I think
Uh,
as well with the like I said with the mechanics they're adding. So it's is it Mixie Max? I think it's called.
yeah, so I think they said they're not gonna do these right away, but fighting spirits they're looking at doing instantly.
Right. Okay. So they're adding those just straight in.
Yes.
And what's that? What's the thing with I believe it's in the Chrono Stone games, but it's called like Keishin Armed or something,
Oh,
and it just looks like
Armify.
armor. Yeah,
Yeah.
Armify.
So, do you know what Armify does? Are you familiar
Not
with it?
particularly.
So essentially, if you have a battle spirit, you can either summon the battle spirit, they have the battle spirit move, and then you're just super strong on the pitch because the battle spirit does the
Yeah.
stuff. Or you can armify, which turns the spirit into armor on the player. It basically makes
Right.
all the players' moves cost 0 and gives them that same strength. Now, I'm not fully accustomed because I've not finished Chrono
Yeah.
Stones, but it's basically whether you want the fighting spirit move or your own player's moves, but just stronger and free.
Because the thing is with this, if they have that, then obviously there's going to be thousands of characters who don't have it. So unless they
Yes,
have a mode where it's exclusive to that game mode, or you can only do it offline or something,
or they rework it. That
yeah,
could
or a
work.
rework even. If they added it in as it is now, it would just be all you'd see.
Yeah, you'd
I mean,
only be playing with the cast of Go, like Ares, Orion, the new game probably, and all the OG stuff. Don't use these
I
mechanics.
know. Say they weren't to though, they weren't to like change it at all. They could always add a restriction so it's maybe one player only, but still that could mean that you're sort of forced to run one even if you don't want to,
Yeah, yeah.
which that's not really what Inazuma's about. It's about grabbing the most random backwater people
It
and creating
looks
your own
cool.
team.
Yeah,
Exactly, like a server, my sweet boy.
my boy Steve Grimm.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's an underground character, definitely.
Definitely, no one knows who he is. So,
So yeah, you go.
so all right. I was just gonna say, have you seen the image of the new kid that's been
Mysterious boy.
yes, that's
Yes,
related to someone from
they're
the past?
really building up an aura about this child.
So there's a theory that I've seen which I think is incredibly likely, also because um again, I'm not too familiar with Go, and someone said
Yeah.
something about Go that just further enforced this. But there
Hmm.
was a character which it's not gonna be, but the first character that came to my mind was you've seen the image, right? It's this blonde kid with green eyes and this
Yes.
sort of like curled hair. The first player that came to mind when I saw that was Gabrini, the little defender from Italy's Orpheus team.
Gabrini.
You know, I'm pretty sure that's the name. You know, the little
Hang
kid.
on. Let me pull up a picture of this. I need to see. So, because obviously they're putting such an emphasis on this, there's gonna have to be some likeness of the characters
Yeah, yeah. But
because they're not just gonna make him look absolutely nothing like it.
it's not gonna be Gabrini because they have like
Well,
no
no.
relevance to the story. It's all just Paolo Bianchi, really.
Hmm. I'm trying to figure out. There's so little images of him online.
I think it's
Oh,
Gabrini.
hang on.
Yeah, no. If you put Gabrini Orpheus, it comes up right away. The small small child. Angelo Gabrini, if you need the first name. They are a
Sorry about that.
midfielder.
I'm back.
Yeah, okay.
Gabrini, is it?
Yeah, Angelo Gabrini.
I'll
They're
definitely
from.
butcher
They
how to
play for
spell. Oh no,
Orpheus, Italy's team from three.
let me take a look at them.
Can you see it? Can you see the resemblance? I mean, the eye color's
Hang
wrong,
on.
but the
Yeah,
hair's pretty damn correct.
I see what you mean now. That's there's definitely a likeness. I see where you're getting at, but the
And
thing is
then,
just,
whilst you do that, I'm
I
gonna.
think the thing people would ask is why would they choose that person?
Yeah, see.
It's like
So
that's such a
that's the first
random
character that.
character.
Yeah, so there's no way it's gonna be them, but when I saw it, that was the first character
Hmm.
that came to my mind. However, if we look at so basically, yeah, sorry. So the character that I saw mentioned was, I think her name's Lucy from Inazuma 11-3. She's related to the whole Ray Dark
Yeah.
plot. I'm not sure if you've got there yet. But so to avoid spoiling
Is
it for
it
you, I'll just
Lucy
keep it low.
Hailstone?
So essentially, whole Ray Dark plot about her, and then someone revealed, which I didn't know, is that you can actually. Uh, I'm not sure about the surname. Let's check. There's no. We're not getting images. No, no, that's Isa. Um, is it Rush? Lucy Rush? Nope. Damn it. So essentially, right, she gets saved by Ray Dark, and
Yep.
what someone revealed to me is that she's a playable character in Inazuma 11 Go Chrono Stones. I think she actually becomes a part of the story. So because of
Yeah.
that, if she's actually relevant, and then it's the offspring of her, and they're into football, that would make complete sense.
Yeah. Okay.
So if I, no, that's the wrong Lucy. Okay, so I can't find her. I just keep finding Lucy Thanos from Ares.
Yeah.
Or is that Orion? That's Orion, actually, yeah. But she's uh the blind kid in Inazuma. That's the
Right.
most identified. Is that even her name? Let me put blind kid. It's Roosh, apparently. Yeah, so her name is Lucy. It's just that no one calls her that. So
Right.
apparently I know a name that no one calls her by. So if you put Rush with an E on the end, like Roosh, that's her.
Okay.
So I did have it right. It's just not. It doesn't come up if you put Lucy in Azuma 11.
What do you put in for a name again?
Rush with like an E on the end,
Okay, Roosh.
and she has
Ah.
the hair color and the eye color. So, and then obviously if it's the offspring of her, I think it's very, very probable that this mystery character is related to her.
Oh yeah. I mean, we still don't know how far down the line in the Inazuma like timeline Victory Roads are going to be set because obviously, Canon Evans he's roughly like 80 years in the future for Mark and on that
Yes.
lot. But the question is, how far down the line is it going to be? Because obviously it's after every game.
Mm.
At least I assume it is, and I also don't know if they're going to dabble in the time travel stuff again because that's what they've been heavily leaning into these past few games. But
Yeah. I'm not sure how to place it in the timeline. It is very complicated, and I think it's sort of been done on purpose. I think they're sort of trying to, because one of the things that was said very early on is they don't want it to be a part of any of the storylines. They want it to be a fresh new take on
yeah,
Inazuma 11, and that's why we're not even going to be having an underdog story. As with all the others, it's going to be a completely fresh thing, and you're sort of going to be at the top already, which is quite interesting.
that's quite cool actually. I mean, obviously
So,
there's links to the past games with things like
yes,
It's not the main character that's Mark Evans' descendant though, is it?
it's his rival
That's I
that's
really like that idea
descendant.
because obviously we've
Yes.
been with Mark Evans and his uh his descendants etc. as the main characters.
Mm,
So I'm really intrigued to see how they handle them being rivals. I wonder if it's like a friendly rival sort of thing or a
a
more of a
competitive one.
competitive one. Yeah,
Yeah. So with the old characters, they're being added through Bond Alley, which that makes me just sort of think you just get the characters and they're not too related to the story.
yeah,
So if you want, Jude Sharp from Royal Academy, you just fight Royal Academy, do some quests, and you get Jude. And
yeah,
he's just there. He's not. There's no story reason really why he's there. But then going back to the whole thing with
yeah.
the rivalry and whatnot with the characters, I was just gonna say that I like the fact that it's going to be a rivalry, and I hope some people didn't like this, but I hope it's like Mark Evans in Ares, because when Mark Evans was in Ares and is like building up to fighting his team, and the
Oh
fact
yeah,
that he just Basil Hardy uses Fire Tornado on this man, and he just kicks it, a normal kick from a goalkeeper, Mark Evans, he just kicks it away, and
that
it
is
just
such a cool scene.
completely stops it, and like having that sort of character that we've known and loved for years, that's like the protagonist, be this badass, like almost unbeatable goalkeeper was
Yeah,
so cool. And I hope with this descendant of Mark, we sort of get that sort of vibe again because it honestly, one of the coolest parts of
there is
Ares.
so many jaw-dropping scenes in Inazuma.
Yes, yes,
But I do have to ask you something though, Jacob. Something
yes.
something I know we both don't want to talk about, but we have to talk about it in Victory Road.
Yeah.
What do you think about gachas?
I mean,
The dreaded
I
gacha machine.
I don't mind the gacha. A lot of people hate the gacha. Now,
Me,
for starters, it gives
me.
me great content. People love watching that on TikTok. So,
Oh yeah, I guess so.
I mean, hit me up with that all day. As long as it's not microtransactions all day.
Yeah.
If it's
Oh
free,
yeah.
like in free, hit me up. I'm fine with it. Also, if you know what you're doing, it's not that bad. I'm not gonna
You
say
do
it's
have to do a lot
amazing.
of research though.
Yeah, and with it being a new game, that's going to be hard to do. But if you save
Yeah.
up your coins and just spend them all on one character that you're after, it's not that bad of a process.
Mm.
But if you're going in blind, because as well with the third game, it did say what machines they're from in the game. You
Yeah.
didn't have to go onto like Google or whatever. You could just go into the player binder and be like, yo, they're in Hokkaido and they require blue. So if it's
Yeah.
like that, it's fine. But if you don't save up or you're going blind or you just don't know any of the characters, if you're new to Inazuma 11 as a franchise and you don't know who's good or cool, you just want players, it's going to be, I don't think it's new player friendly.
No, it's
And
definitely not.
so I don't think it'd be a great idea to go with the gacha. Now, honestly, Inazuma 2 has the best recruitment
Oh
system,
yeah.
but at the same time, I do not want pal packing. This is a very common opinion. If you've played the Go games,
Is
pal
that where you
packing
have to like
stinks.
collect historic items for the characters, etc.?
Yeah, so the
Oh
concept
god.
it's kind of cool, the concept,
It
right?
is, yeah.
Especially because it's related to the character, and it gives you some like interpreted extra story.
Hmm.
But the issue comes into play when you have to like fight a team and you have to S rank them. And once you've S ranked this team, you have a 1% chance that it's going to drop, I don't know, a teacup that's
I know.
1/4 of the unlock for some random guy
It's
called
just,
like freaking Philip.
I think in the Go games, I guess it's fitting because obviously you have to get an item so you can go back in time and get them or whatever.
Well, it did this in Go 1 where there wasn't time travel, so
Oh, okay.
it doesn't. There's not much reason for it to exist.
It is. It's just it just turns it into a grindathon, but not a rewarding one.
Yeah, and I will say Level 5 as a company, they do this quite a bit. If you've played Yokai Watch Blasters, this is a side note sort of thing.
Yeah,
I tried getting a yokai called Orosignor, and the way you do it is you get an item from a QR code, you use the item, and then you can go to the level, fight them, beat all the bosses, and then you have a chance to get him.
right.
That chance is very low. I play that level about 300 times, and I do not have a single Orosignor. So please don't take notice from Yokai Watch Blasters, because I stopped playing the game for that reason alone.
I don't blame you, to be honest. That actually sounds horrible.
Yeah, so that's why I'd rather a gacha over that, but I don't think it's healthy for new players. Just go with
No, me
two.
neither.
Two's tried and tested recruitment system was perfect. You got the connection map, we got the scout system, and the recruit system. You know the players, you say, I want that guy, you fight that guy,
Yeah.
or you bring like a squad of all girls to fight them or whatever, and then they're like, okay, I'll join you. None of this luck and none of this grinding, and I'll be happy.
As will I, because I mean, the jump from 2 to 3 in recruiting characters, it felt like an actual slap in the face. It was so hard to just get accustomed to it and not being able to just get characters that I
Mm.
wanted.
And also, a lot of threes recruiting wasn't clear. So this is another sort of side note because you can't get any of the players from the teams like, well, from the other countries essentially.
Yeah,
So England, Qatar. Well, I tell that you can get Qatar, but in the later stage, so England, America, that sort, them sort of teams, you
yeah,
can't recruit them till you've beaten the game. But it doesn't really say anywhere in the game that that's the
yeah.
situation. Now, also, it doesn't mention this about the gacha machine either. So if you look in the player binder, and I did this mistake, someone pointed this out
Oh
to me on
no.
TikTok. I tried getting Hill Valley, and I needed blue coins in, I can't remember what camp it was now, but blue coins in one of the gacha machines.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I've beat Neo National. They're an early on team. I'm sure I can get him by just putting blue coins in. And it just kept giving me mineral water and milk every single time. I'm like, what's happening? There's no way I have everyone because Hill Valley's still here. And so I said, you can't even get Hill Valley until you've beaten the story. But nowhere in the game did it
Oh
tell me
god.
this. And so many blue coins were wasted on rice balls, mineral water, and milk
Oh
that I
Jesus.
didn't want.
Yeah, I think if they have gachas, they should just make it a lot clearer. I think definitely, and I guess if they were to, they maybe just leaving it at 1 token would work. Because I
Yes.
sort of understand the 3 tokens, but if you just merged all three, it would just work the same.
Mm. Just have a smaller gacha pool
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
one coin for the gacha.
Exactly.
Or
Now,
even, like
sorry, go on.
Yokai Watch, there are some coins that like have one gacha and then the coin, the type of coin that you put in, depends is the choice of what you get. So say you have a blue coin, you're going to get anyone from the blue pool, which is like what
Yeah,
we've got currently. But then you'd have certain coins, like I think it's called a moon coin, that would get you a specific yokai, which could be like Drake and Yarn. So if that translated to Inazuma, we could have a coin that you work for, and it's like this coin guarantees to get you Jude from Royal Academy or Jude from Raimon 2.
yeah. I think that would work as a system as well. It'd just be easier and nicer on the community.
It would.
I have a So we spoke earlier about mechanics and things like spirits and mixy maxing, but there's one. It's not really a mechanic, but one gimmick that was in two. I think that I think was a missed opportunity, and I wanted to see more of it. Was the alter egos such as with Stormfrost, Dave Quagmire, who else? There's a few other
Yes.
people, but
No, it's just Sean, Dvalin, and
yeah,
Scotty Banyan. They're the only three.
I just for such a thing that they advertise so much, it's on the back of the thing. There's only
Yeah,
three whole characters who can do
and
it.
you lose one of them when you finish the story.
Exactly.
So the thing, the thing that I think as well, right? We had Dvalin who can go from goalkeeper to forward. He can
Yeah.
swap between those two positions, but he doesn't swap from Epsilon to Advanced Epsilon where they get the red eyes.
Yeah.
But they do all have different stats and moves when they have the red eyes Advanced Epsilon form. So why didn't every Epsilon member have a alter ego where they had the red eyes and were from Advanced
Yeah.
Epsilon? That would have been so cool.
As well, there's also Mark when he performs the Earth. They could have changed his position to a midfielder or something, or
Or a
just something
defender.
like yeah, exactly something like that. Instead of
Mm.
keeping him as a goalkeeper and being forced to put him at the front of your team in that mission.
And having some random scouts with alter egos would just be nice as well.
Exactly.
Give a few random scouts a bit more prominence in the story.
It's not even that it has to be like they've got an actual alter ego like Sean did with Aiden. It could
Mm.
just be like Scott Banyan where he just gets angry at eyes. Something
Yeah.
like that. It doesn't have to have a story purpose. People can
Not
just
to
have two
mention
positions.
Not to mention as well, right? We have like 1,600 characters that I've S ranked every team in that game, and I've still met about 80% of characters. That means
Yeah.
there's 20% of characters after beating every possible thing in the game that I've not met. So there's so many characters. Like, think of all the ones that've got clown masks on. They could just be alter
Yeah.
egos of each other. That would help bring the pool down to one that you'll actually see all of them. Because it's not like it's so big that you see new players all the time and then finish the game. Like
Yeah.
the amount of times I've seen Rob Otts, I've gone against him like 11 times and not seen 20% of players at the same time.
Yeah,
So if we
exactly.
just had a bunch of people with clown masks and have them as alter egos of each other, they'd bring down the pool, but it'd also make recruiting them characters a bit more interesting.
Yeah. And actually it's not even like it's a game breaking thing like spirits
Oh
or
no,
like
not
the
at all.
arm or anything like that. It's just a cool little gimmick that we can have in the
I will
game that
say
would be
this
cool.
though. They did sort of break their own game with alter egos, but I'm not sure if they even know that they did this. So there's certain competition route matches that say like you have to play with a team that has no goalkeeping moves. So what you could do
Yeah.
is put Dvalin in goal as a forward, and as soon as the match starts, activate his alter ego, and he's a goalkeeper. He just has a goalkeeping move. So
Right,
there are a
okay.
few things like that, but honestly, they weren't noticeable, right?
Yeah,
They
that
didn't
just seems more like
break
an
the game.
oversight
Yeah.
than
So with just a little rework, just have it consider both alter egos.
yeah.
I'd say they're pretty cool. Now, the real question comes in with: do you prefer alter egos, or you prefer what 3 did, where you can have multiple characters? So you can have Steve Grimm and
Ooh,
Dark Emperor Steve Grimm. Would you rather have one Steve Grimm that can swap between the two, or have the two, or for any other character?
that's a good question actually. I think I'd pick having multiple of the same characters, but it is a close one
Right.
because having multiple characters, one, it's funny to start off with,
It is
having
funny.
like five Steve Grimms, and two, I just think it just makes for quite a cool team. If you've got a team of like three Judes, there's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with it, and it just gives you more choice for teams.
Now, I I half agree and I half disagree with you on this. So, the first the reason I agree is because it's really funny, especially because with the likes of Steve Grimm, Dark Emperor's form has this move called Revolution V, where him and another player spin around, cause a cyclone, and kick in a V shape.
Yeah,
Now, if both of them doing it are both Steve Grimm, that looks pretty funny. But my only concern with having multiple versions of a character, and it's not the system or the feature. It's more how the rest of the game is made for all of the games. Is you have a limited amount of players that you're allowed. I don't want seven Steve Grimms to take up seven spots. So if it was an alter ego, it'd just take up one spot and I could change which one I've got.
Yeah,
But at the same time, if we had like a load of versions, in three I think we have three Sean Frosts. If you had one Sean Frost that can change between three personalities, you could really screw people over online by having a Sean Frost that say counters the three most used keepers at the time,
yeah,
and just being able to change between them on the go isn't that great. I don't think it makes for a healthy online play.
yeah,
So I think multiple versions of the same character as separate characters is the way to go, but it really hurts when you have a limited amount of players allowed.
hmm. Or even if they had it so if there is a ranked mode where you're only allowed one of each person. So
Mm.
if you're in ranked, you can't have more multiples of the same character, or just something like that.
Yeah, that would work actually. Or if we did have alter egos and they were all in one, you can't change it mid-match. That would
Yeah,
work. So either of them are great fixes.
yeah. I think as well. We mentioned earlier the tension gauges and
Yes.
how that changes. It's just completely gotten rid of TP, but that
Mm.
raises a few questions for me. In the likes
Okay.
of, is it BP the other one?
It's FP for I
FP,
think
that's it.
for physical power, even though physical is spelled PH. I'm pretty sure
One,
that's what it is.
it raises the question of are they keeping that, and two,
Mm.
what could they do to just stop someone from just absolutely spamming one move?
Yeah. So we've talked about this like person
Yeah,
a
yeah,
bit. So I like the idea. I like because if you think about this show, and people obviously are coming from the show probably to the
oh
new
yeah,
game because the games are too expensive for most people to come from.
yeah,
So people will be coming from the show, and obviously there's been loads of series since the games, like Ares and Orion. They're gonna see certain characters using one move over and over and over again in the show.
yeah,
When you get to the game, they might like uh with Aphrodite, he uses Heaven's Time like 13 times in one Orion match, more or less.
yeah,
But if you get into the game, you know he can only use that move twice before you have to take him off the pitch. So I like that you can, use the characters how they're used in the show. But if one character is just incredibly overpowered, is this not just going to break the game? Just using all their moves infinitely.
yeah, exactly. So I think, like we talked about, having something so that you get punished for spamming one move, I think that would be a good
Mm.
idea. But obviously, it'd be the question of if FP sort of thing, if you spammed out a move, would it just tire them out insanely fast, or would it punish the whole team and take a bit off everyone's, or
Yeah,
something
but
like that?
the thing is, with the tension gauge, it's looking like they're trying to get your whole team like generate a pool of energy as the
Yeah,
match goes on. The better you do, and then using a move takes out of that pool that your whole team uses it from. But if one player is insanely strong and they just keep spamming the same move, should they be tired out? Now, the problem with that is if we're having a player that uses a move too much and they get tired out, why are we getting rid of TP to begin with? Because that's what happened. So
yeah,
it's like if it works and they get it working, it's going to be super cool. But I could see it slipping up, and I really hope it doesn't because it's quite a cool concept.
exactly. Something that is quite cool with it though is because if you think about it, I guess TP was considered like the amount of energy that the person had to pull off a move, and then once they used up their TP, it was basically like they ran out of energy to do powerful moves. But with tension, obviously that means you can get, say, you can fill the bar and then
Yeah,
use a bunch of moves, and then you can keep doing more shots and passes to build it up again. So that means you won't have to use like, you won't be restricted with three items a game to build tension
yeah.
back up because it will just be passively collecting again.
I guess as well, you could have a player that gets tired out, and then you can bring them back later, and they're ready to use moves again.
Yeah, exactly.
So it would make benching people not just like the graveyard, because
Yeah,
essentially in the DS games, once a player's out, you just put them on the bench and they're not returning for the whole match because
Yeah.
they can't do anything.
And normally when
But
you're given 3 items, you'll just use it on like a striker, and then everyone
yeah,
else is
yeah.
just dying while your striker's fine.
Well, also because I don't use items personally, like 3 of my 5 bench spots are just forwards. But with this new mechanic, if my forwards can carry on taking shots without getting tired out, I might consider having more keepers or more
Yeah,
defenders.
exactly.
It'll
Because
make the bench better.
my Inazuma team on three, to be honest, is literally it's literally just like 6 strikers on my bench. Just because obviously I like to play aggressively, so I'm using up my strikers TP quicker than I've got time for. So I just need to keep swapping them out and things.
And definitely, if you don't have super, super strong shots and you're trying to get the S rank in competition routes, you need to have like 6, 7 strikers on your team
Yeah,
to be able to get that 5-0 plus goal lead. So that means the bench is usually 3 strikers, one midfielder, and a goalkeeper,
yeah.
or even 4 strikers and a goalkeeper.
Sometimes what I'll even have to do is I'll just bring out like Axel for like one turn just so I can pull off ground fire, just so I can get another cheeky goal, and then literally just take him off straight away again.
Yeah, it's like Dylan Keats. Like I said, he's dubbed the one-shot striker, and that's because he has
Yeah,
big moves, grand fire, power element, and all this. But he can only do it once, but it's like unbeatable.
yeah. It's literally just like they are just literally throwaways. You use them once and
Yeah,
then just forget about them for the rest of the game.
yeah.
So I think if they do it right, which I'm praying to the Lord above that they do, it could be a really cool mechanic that replaces TP and is better than TP.
Yeah, I think it's quite bold because I'm not sure about strikers, but I don't think they've ever done this before. So
Yeah,
it's a bit nerve-wracking to see them doing such drastic changes across the board in all the mechanics, really. But from what I've seen, the trailers and whatnot, even the old Ares game, it doesn't look that bad. So I think we're in good hands, right?
I agree. I think so as well. And it's been don't know how many years. When was the last Inazuma game?
I couldn't tell you. I know Chronostones was like
Yeah, it was
2015,
the
14, I think.
it was the other Chronostones game which didn't even get an official translation.
Yeah, Galaxy. Go Galaxy.
And I think obviously they had to make the jump to next gen consoles eventually because obviously now with DS services being shut down,
Yeah,
I think this is definitely a big step in the right direction for Inazuma, and it
yeah.
will definitely bring in new people.
Yeah, I'm excited because obviously new players, they're gonna come up with some really crazy combinations.
Yeah,
And you're gonna get that sort of wholesome team building, I reckon, where, you know, when you first started playing, I remember you just got some random kid called Colin Lection in your team as a defender. And like just seeing a team that just has some random wild card player, it's always so just exciting to
yeah.
see.
I mean, he was
It's
terrible,
nice to
but
see.
my team had life.
Yeah,
It, it,
exactly.
it wasn't just like the story team.
Mm. Although I do worry with the Bond Alley because I saw that Raymond is like the first team on there. I really hope everyone doesn't just recruit Axel instantly, and that's
Yeah,
just all onliners.
I mean, we definitely have quite a few things to say about Axel, but we'll probably save that for another
W-
time.
Yeah, we'll save that for another episode.
Yeah, he's a hot topic here at Triangle
He
Z1.
is. Yes. With that being said, do you have anything else you want to say before we end off our very first episode?
There's nothing I think. There's no topics I think I want to discuss as of right now. All I want to say though is I cannot wait for Victory Road, and I can't wait for more news on it as well.
Also, if any of you guys are listening, follow me on either TikTok or YouTube. As soon as Victory Road comes out, I'm going to be doing a lot of content on that.
Oh
So
yeah,
stay tuned for that, as well as later episodes of the Triangle Z podcast. Uh, I'm fine to end if you are,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so
I'm
I'll just
fine.
say
I'm getting kind of
thank
hungry.
you, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and
Thank you
let me know
guys.
if you enjoyed it. Bye,
Bye
guys.
bye.